We're going to call the State Government Finance Committee to order. Members, the purpose for this meeting is going to be a walkthrough of the DE2 amendment that is the Omnibus State Government Finance Bill. Ms. Roberts is going to walk us first through the spreadsheet. You should have a copy of that spreadsheet in your packets. Ms. Roberts.
Madam Chair and members, I will walk through the spreadsheet, and I will also try to mention any significant language that's in Article 1, the Appropriations article, so that we don't have to then walk through that again, since it's basically the numbers. The first appropriations changes you'll see are for the legislature, a net of $314,000. That's for 3 items. First, for the results first transfer from MMB to the budget office. Then there's $104,000 for the reference library for digital preservation of legislative records, and $90,000 one time for a rent, restoring the rent reduction to the Office of the Revisor. Underneath that, you'll see the impact from transferring the $207,000 from the county state aid that currently goes to MMB. That will be transferred to the Legislative Budget Office. Under the Attorney General, there's an operating reduction of $1 million per year starting in fiscal year 19. For the Secretary of State, there's $330,000 in a one-time appropriation from the Special Revenue account. This is from the political party accounts in the Special Revenue Fund from the Campaign Finance Public Subsidy Program, and they are appropriated for the purposes to be the state match for the recently approved federal dollars that are available for election equipment cybersecurity. And then on line 23, you'll see there's a reduction beginning for the Campaign Finance Public Subsidy Program beginning in fiscal 19 and carrying on to the tails. This was the estimate that we received from the fiscal note on Representative Peterson's bill. For administrative hearings, you'll see the $525,000 a year. This is the transfer of the Information Policy Analysis Unit from admin to administrative hearings. Under Department of Administration, there are 3 changes that total to a net of $1.2 million for fiscal year 19. The first is a $300,000 reduction to the State Historic Preservation Office. This represents the money that was in last year's bill. On line 31, I need to make a correction that's labeled incorrectly. That should be the Office of Continuous Improvement. And we will have an updated spreadsheet available later, and that's a reduction of $418,000 per year. And finally, you'll see the piece that's the $525,000 transfer for data practices. Under MMB, there's a net increase of $3.95 million. This is really 2 pieces, $4 million for the Sexual Harassment Office, and you'll see the items in brackets following that is just a breakout of the different pieces that are specified in the bill. And that breakout is actually in the bill language in Article 1, if you take a look at it. And then there is also a $50,000 reduction from the transfer of the results first activity to the Legislative Budget Office. I should note some language that is in Article 1 related to the sexual harassment offices. There is a report required from MMB to the chairs and ranking members of the appropriate committees on the reduced human resources workload and other cost savings that would be realized by individual agencies due to the consolidation of these activities into one office. And then also on line 45, you can see the corresponding transfer of the county state aid from MMB that goes along with the piece earlier in the spreadsheet. For the Department of Revenue, there is an operating reduction of $3.895 million beginning in fiscal year 19, and then $15,000 in one-time funding for continuation of the tax incident study. Under the Department of Human Rights, there's a $1.4 million reduction per year, and there is language in the bill that says these amounts may not be used to reduce the operations and services of the department's regional office in St. Cloud. For the Minnesota Historical Society, $1 million in one-time funding for digital preservation and access. Under the Minnesota Humanities Commission, there's a $600,000 total for 3 different grants. The first is $100,000 for the Healthy Eating Here at Home program. And these are all one-time appropriations. In addition, there's $250,000 for the Everybody Wins reading program. And then $250,000 for a grant to the Minnesota Council on Economic Education to provide staff development to teachers for implementation of the state graduation standards in learning areas related to economic education. And that piece I just read is spelled out in the appropriation language. Finally, on this front page, there's a $518,000 a year reduction to the Cosmetology Examiners Board. On the second page of the spreadsheet, you'll see a total of $26 million, and this is to cover, to provide funding for 3 veterans' homes. The first is $10 million for a home in Preston, and then $16 million for the 2 homes in Montevideo and Bemidji. And I should note that these appropriations are one-time, and they're available until June 30th, 2021. After that, they would cancel back to the general fund. So you can see the total expenditure changes, both direct and open general fund, are $24.3 million. And then there are some revenue changes that I'm also tracking. The first is a $500,000 from a gain sharing savings. This was a provision that was in last year's bill also. There are some small revenue losses under the Cosmetology Board related to 2 bills we heard earlier dealing with the hair braiders and eyelash technicians. And then there is a $30.8 million one-time transfer from the stadium reserve to the general fund. And there's language in the bill that specifies that these transfers are used for the Veterans Home piece and the Sexual Harassment Office. Finally, at the bottom, you'll see under general reduction, there is language, it's on page 7 of Article 1, that is a general reduction to all agencies related to the MNLARS appropriation. So the money, I'm showing a reduction to the general fund, but then the money is then transferred to special revenue counts in the Department of Public Safety. So that's a net 0 to the general fund. So the total changes with the expenditures and the revenue changes is a net of $7 million reduction to the general fund.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Roberts. Members, any questions on the spreadsheet at all? If not, Mr. Gearing?
So, Madam Chair, I'll walk through the policy items in the DE2 amendment, and I'll start on page 7. So Ms. Roberts already walked through the rider language, so I won't do those pieces. On page 7, I'll highlight section 14. This is language that requires agencies that have reduced appropriations in this bill to preserve public-facing programs and to make reductions only in activities that relate to central administration and general operations of the office. So in this bill, that would affect the Attorney General's office, Cosmetology Board, and Department of Revenue. On page 8, you see the language Ms. Roberts mentioned in section 16 related to the MSFA stadium transfer, and then section 17 requires a minute to prioritize appropriations provided last year, this year, and appropriations that are provided to the department, to the agency through transfers to be put first towards enhancing cybersecurity across state government. So then, Madam Chair, starting with Article 2 is the policy language, and I think what I'm going to do, since there's a number of sections here, is I'm just going to highlight, I'll go through the whole amendment, but since most of these items have been heard in this committee either this session or last session, I'll just kind of hit the high points of each bill that's included. So starting with Article 2, Section 1, there on page 8, this is the first in a series of sections that come from Representative Grossel's bill. This is the Continuity of Government and Emergency Management Bill. So sections 1, 2, and 3 of the DE2, and sections 1, 2, and 3 of the DE2 all relate to the ability of governments to move their seat of government in the event of an emergency, and this is modernizes language that currently only allows for removal of the seat of government in the case of an enemy attack. Section 4 on page 9 is Representative Anderson's redistricting principles bill. Change from her introduced version of the bill is that this does not include any language related to the establishment of a commission to conduct redistricting. Section 5 on page 11 is more of Representative Grossell's continuity of government bill. Section 6 on the bottom of page 11 is the first in a series of sections that will come much later in this article that relate to Representative Albright's bill reforming the Met Council. On page 12, section 7 is the first in a series of sections that relate to the Legislative Budget Office. This is Representative Vogel's bill. And you may recall from the committee testimony that Representative Vogel's bill generally provides more oversight and reforms the structure of the Legislative Budget Office that was enacted last year. Section 8 is a section also relating to the Legislative Budget Office, but it comes from Representative Schumacher's bill. This is the language that transfers the results first program evaluation activities to the Legislative Budget Office. Sections 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 all, again, come from Representative Vogel's Legislative Budget Office reform bill. Section 14 on page 15 is new language that puts a cap on the amount of transfers that the governor's office can receive from other agencies at $750,000 in each fiscal year. Section 15 on the bottom of page 15 is Representative Loon's bill that allows businesses to request that their address not be included on the Secretary of State's website if that address is also the home address of the sole manager, shareholder, member, or owner of that business. And this language also includes, to address the fiscal issues that were discussed in the committee, a requirement that the Secretary of State attach a copy of a request form to business filing forms rather than include it as a checkbox on the actual form. Section 16 is Representative Vogel's bill that requires the state auditor to provide CPA firms more opportunities to respond in the event that the state auditor requires more examinations or information from the CPA firm. Section 17 is Representative Anderson's prohibition on the Attorney General contracting for outside legal services on a contingent fee basis. Section 18 goes with Representative Vogel's Legislative Budget Office bill. This provides that the director of the office is a public official for purposes of campaign finance law. Section 19 and a series of sections after this is really the major substance of Representative Grossell's continuity bill. So this language runs from sections 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. So that runs through page 27. Starting at the bottom of page 27, section 24 is the first in a series of sections from Representative Scott's bill. This is the policy language that transfers oversight of the Government Data Practices Act and the Open Meetings Law from the Department of Administration to the Office of Administrative Hearings, and that runs a series of sections that goes until page 37, so it runs through section 34. That's all Representative Scott's bill. Section 35 is another Legislative Budget Office provision. This is a requirement that state agencies have to share fiscal note data with the Legislative Budget Office upon request. Section 36 and 37 are the two final sections that go with Representative Scott's data practices transfer bill. Section 38 on the bottom of page 38 is part of Representative Albright's Met Council reform bill. On page 39, section 39 is Representative Anderson's bill that is the base vehicle bill for this amendment, which is the requirement that the Commissioner of Management and Budget provide a website where people can make financial gifts to the state online. Section 40 is first in a couple of sections that come from Representative Nash's bill. This is the language that requires that budget recommendations from agencies and their actual IT spend include 3.5% of their IT spend towards cybersecurity initiatives. That's sections 40 and 41. Section 42 at the bottom of page 40 and substances on page 41 is new language that requires state agencies current law allows state agencies to effectively write off uncollectible debts, and then they're required to report those write-offs in a quarterly report to the Commissioner of Management and Budget. This language requires the agency to include a copy of that report to the legislature in the event that the report shows a write-off of a debt of $10,000 or more. Page 41, Section 43 is language that was in the committee's bill last year that expands the jurisdiction of the Office of Minute Services to include the Campaign Finance Board, the State Lottery, the Statewide Radio Board, and the various pension plans. This includes language that provides that this expansion only occurs once the Chief Information Officer and the can verify that the services provided by the office meet the professional and technical standards necessary for the entity to perform its statutory functions. On the bottom of page 42, section 44 is the first in two sections that require Minute to provide to consult with local governments on IT projects that involve both state agencies and local government. Section 45 is the next section of Representative Nash's bill that requires 3.5% of a department's IT spend to go towards cybersecurity. And 46 is the second of the sections that require local government consultation and field testing for IT projects that impact both state and local governments. On page 44, section 47 is language that was included in last year's committee bill, which requires that agencies that accrue savings from vacant employment positions only use those savings to refill that position at equal or lesser rate of compensation. Section 48 is a new section that establishes an independent centralized office to conduct investigation and collect data related to harassment, misconduct, and discrimination. This section is the policy section that goes along with the appropriation that Ms. Roberts mentioned of $4 million in the riders to support the work of this office. Section 49 is the first section that relates to eyelash technician regulation. Section 50, these sections are kind of interrelated. You start with eyelash technicians, then section 50 relates to the hair braiders bill. These are both Representative Moran's bill and Representative Flanagan's bill that are kind of intertwined here. Section 51 is more hair braiding regulation, and 52 and 53 come from the eyelash extension bill. Section 54 and the next few sections that follow come from Representative Lunen's bill. This is the Racing Commission's administrative bill. And that runs through section 58 on page 51. Section 59 is language that the committee saw last year. This is Representative Garofalo's requirement that the Department of Revenue conduct a tax incident study to review the tax burden of federal taxes borne by Minnesota residents. And there's an appropriation in the riders to fund this work. Section 60 is Representative Anderson's bill that regulates the transfer of wine from licensed premises from one licensed premise to another. Section 61 is a section that comes from an amendment that was attached to Representative Bliss's lottery bill in committee, and this is language that provides clearer penalties for lottery retailers that don't withhold the proper amount of gross receipts from the sale of lottery tickets in order to provide lottery awards to winners. Section 62 is a provision that relates to pensions. This language requires that for dissolved firefighter relief associations that dissolved between January 1, 2018 and July 1, 2018 and July 1, 2028, the funds that would otherwise cancel to a local government must only be used by that government to benefit individual firefighters who are beneficiaries of that plan and may not be used for any other purpose beyond that. Section 63 is the first in the series of substantive sections that come from Representative Albright's reform of the Met Council. The biggest changes here, as you will recall from the committee discussion, are sort of restructuring and resizing of the Met Council and also providing that local elected officials would serve on the Met Council rather than appointees. And that language runs through section 70 on page 60. Section 71 at the bottom of page 60 is the final in the sections that relate to Representative Vogel's legislative budget office bill. This is the language that transfers a portion of local government aid to the legislative budget office for purposes of conducting, or for purposes of preparing local impact notes. Section 72 is language that goes with Representative Grossel's continuity of government bill. Sections 73, 74, and 75 are all effective dates that go with Representative Vogel's legislative budget office bill from last year. These changes are aren't clear in the bill, but in practice would help clarify the way that the Legislative Budget Office would be sort of stood up and gotten into operation. On page 62, section 76, the substantive transfer of the results first program evaluation work from Minnesota Management and Budget to the Legislative Budget Office. That's Representative Schumacher's bill. Section 77 is the substantive transfer of data practices and open meetings law oversight from the Commissioner of Administration to the Office of Administrative Hearings. That's Representative Scott's bill. Section 78 is Representative Nash's bill that we heard late last week. That relates to IT software projects. So this is the language that requires Minute to contract out for the purchase or build of enterprise software projects. New language that you see here that wasn't included in his bill are additional terms that must be included in these contracts. Those include a requirement that payment schedules be conditioned on a vendor's demonstration of satisfactory progress, and also a mandate that the agency or that Minute or the agency funding the project must be refunded all amounts paid if the vendor fails to demonstrate satisfactory progress. Also included in section 78 is language that requires the State Chief Information Officer to recommend possible recodification language related to Chapter 16E, which is the Minute chapter of statute. Section 79 on page 64 is Representative Keel's bill. This is language that requires the Department of Revenue to study evaluation methods for pipeline operating property in Minnesota. This is language that was included in the committee's bill last year. Sections 80 on the bottom of page 64 is Representative Jurgen's bill related to the Nordic World Cup Ski Championship. And this language does include the author's amendment that he offered today to insert the word cup into the title. Section 81 on page 65 is another pension section. This section would increase the benefit available to certain qualifying volunteer firefighters or relief associations. In order to qualify for a benefit up to $12,500, the relief association would have to be funded at greater than 100% of their funding ratio and provide a benefit as of the effective date of the section of $9,500 or more. And at the bottom of page 69, section 82 is the substantive policy that directs the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs to apply for federal funding to construct veterans homes in Preston, Montevideo, and Bemidji. Ms. Roberts mentioned the funding for this item in the spreadsheet and appropriations article. Section 83 on page 70 goes along with Representative Scott's data practices transfer bill. And section 84 includes a number of repealers that go with various provisions in this article. And Madam Chair, so that's the end of Article 2, which is the biggest sort of miscellaneous policy article. Then next is Article 3, Administrative Rulemaking. There's a couple of sections in here to highlight. One is Section 2. This is language about policy pronouncements. This is new language that would require that agencies that interpret laws or provide guidance by policy pronouncement provide notice to the legislature and public notice with an opportunity for comment before they can interpret a law based on the public pronouncement. It also requires the agency to delay use of a policy until the legislature has had an opportunity to review that notice. On page 74, section 3 is language that relates to the current allowance in law for small governments or small cities and small businesses to request a waiver from application of a rule to their city or business if it will cost them more than $25,000 to implement the rule. This takes away what is current law, which is an allowance for the governor to waive the ability of a small business or a small city to request a waiver. So in other words, with this language, if enacted, it would always be the case that a small city or small government could request a waiver from application of a rule if it would cost them more than $25,000 to implement. Section 4 on page 74 is Representative Vogel's bill related to residential construction-related rulemaking. Section 5 on page 75 is new language related to the award of fees and expenses to individuals who challenge an agency's application of a policy as an unadopted rule. So this would allow them, if they prevail in that challenge, to seek an award of fees and expenses. And then, Madam Chair, the Section 6, the repealer, goes along with the provisions I've already talked about, and then there's an effective date for this article. Article 4 is campaign finance provisions. Section 1 is language that is in Representative O'Driscoll's bill that the committee included in his bill last year. This prohibits the Campaign Finance Board from adopting most types of rules as of June 1st, 2018, with a few narrow exceptions. And then the remainder of this article is Representative Peterson's bill, which eliminates the public subsidy amounts that would come from the political party checkoff, the tax designation checkoff. So what would remain for the public subsidy would be only those amounts in the general campaign fund. I want to highlight the effective date in Section 13, which is on page 83. This effective date provides that the elimination of the party accounts for the purposes of the public subsidy would apply for elections that happen on or after July 1st, 2018. So that would include this election cycle. And this language requires the Campaign Finance Board to provide a written notice to candidates who have signed those agreements for this year already and give them an opportunity to sign a different agreement if they choose to do so that would reflect the changes in this bill. The effective date also clarifies that if you're a candidate and you've signed an agreement for this election cycle, it will continue to be valid only for purposes of qualifying for the political contribution refund program. And then finally, Madam Chair, Article 5 is language that the committee has seen before. This is the Minnesota Sports Facilities Authority Stadium Bill. I'll just highlight a couple of sections here that may be of interest. One on page 84, Section 3 is language that provides a process for prepaying stadium bonds based on savings accumulated from reducing the state share of the operating expenses for the stadium. And what's new here is that the prepayment will be based on a 4-year cycle, so that the Commissioner Management budget will be sort of accruing over the course of 4 years the state savings, and then after 4 years would use those amounts to prepay the stadium bonds. On page 86, Section 5, you'll see that the policy language here removes a supplemental $20 million allocation to the stadium reserve account from certain designated taxes, and that is reflected in Ms. Roberts' spreadsheet and the transfer from the stadium reserve account. Section 6 on page 87 is some new language that provides effectively a cap on the total amount of the stadium reserve account, and it's based on a calculation that the Commissioner of Management budget would do that relates to the amount of principal and interest on appropriation bonds that's due in the next fiscal year. Madam Chair, then the next series of pages it's language that's either technical language or is identical to what was included in the bill last year. On page 95, I'll point out Section 21, which restricts the MSFA from entering contracts with more than a $5,000 value unless the terms of the contract are approved by the authority at a public vote at a regular or special meeting. Section 24 on page 96 expands the reporting requirement for the authority to include reporting to the Ways and Means and Finance Committees in the legislature and also to the Legislative Commission on Minnesota sports facilities. And the report to the Legislative Commission is required to be in person. There's expanded details you'll see at the bottom, page 96, on the content of those reports. And Madam Chair, then the rest of that article is largely identical with only a few sort of technical updates to the substance compared to what was the committee saw last year as part of House File 778, which was your bill. And Madam Chair, that's the walkthrough of the policy.
Thank you, Mr. Gehring. Members, any questions for Mr. Gehring on the policy piece? Representative Detmer.
Madam Chair, on line 70.2, if we're looking at 3 veterans homes at 72 beds apiece, that would be 216 beds, not 140. Am I correct there, or am I missing something? Okay.
Representative Detmer, it's what the language says is up to 142 beds, or 140 beds. So there might be some facilities that will only have 72 beds or up to 140. It's for each individual.
Oh, each individual. Okay,
Yes.
I got you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Members, any other questions? If not, I'm just going to go through a couple of things of what you can expect for tomorrow. So we will start at 10:15 in room 5. And we will start with getting testimony from the public on the bill. Then after that, we'll go to members' questions and then any amendments. If you have an amendment to the bill, you need to have your name on the amendment so that we know who it is. And if you don't plan on providing it to staff in advance, you need to make sure that you have enough copies for the committee and then also the public as well. And so with that, seeing no other questions, members, we are, oh, and yeah, and just for staff's sake, if you can take all of these materials that you just got tonight and put them in your little green folder and then slip it into your save file, it'll save Shirley a ton of time. And with that, and put it in your folder so it's all taken care of, okay? And with that, members, we are adjourned.